Hey guys, welcome to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So today we're back with a pretty interesting one. Today we are here with a Varus Supplementary guide, and this is going to be on Essence Reaver on Varus in particular. So I'm going to just quickly go over like the train of thought about how I came up with this build. Basically, I was thinking who can use Essence Reaver, because Essence Reaver is a pretty strong item. So obviously, we have the obvious like champions like Lucian, for example. Then I was thinking like, okay, it could work on Ezreal. So I played it on Ezreal. Then I was thinking, who else could it work on? I was thinking maybe Varus, because Varus of course focuses on damage on his Q. So I was like, okay, probably I can combo Essence Reaver with Lethality Varus. So of course Lethality Varus starts off with the Mana Mune. Of course this gives you the mana, and now it gives you of course the increased damage on both your basic attacks as well as your spells. So definitely works very well in the build. Fixes his mana problems, and together with that also makes of course his Q stronger. So then of course we get the Essence Reaver. So now I did try like going Essence Reaver first and Mana Mune second. I think it's a bit too slow. Varus takes way too long to stack Mana Mune. So Essence Reaver second. Of course gives you AD ability haste, crit, and of course gives you that 22.5% extra damage on your ability, because it does scale with crit of course. And also you get the mana on hit, which is not very useful in my opinion, but could be useful in very niche scenarios. Now, my next thought is I should go Lethality now. So I was thinking that, you know, we could go for like a Ghost Blade, Edge of Night, or Serpent's Fang, whatnot. Then I thought, okay, since crit increases the damage of Essence Reaver, why not go for the Collector? Now, I'm not going the Collector for the passive or for the satisfaction. I'm going for it because of what it was kind of meant to do, which is it's a crit and lethality item at the same time. So I get the lethality that I want, which is the 10 armor penetration. However, I also get crit, which of course scales with Essence Reaver. Of course, this will lead me to 25% extra damage on ability, which is, you know, a lot. It's like extra quarter damage. And then you of course get AD crit, and of course you get that you know, satisfying passive of, you know, popping people. And then I was like, okay, I need armor penetration. So should I go for Moral Reminder, Seralda's Grudge, or Lord Dominic's Regard? So then my thought is, of course I can go Moral Reminder if I need it. Seralda's Grudge is useful on Varus, but really not that useful, because you do slow on your E and your Q, but it's not as useful compared to someone like a Lucian. So I was like, okay, I can go for Lord Dominic's Regard. So this gives me even more crit, and of course this leads to Essence Reaver becoming stronger. So now I was thinking for my last item, this is very flexible. So I was thinking last item, since I already have 3 crit items, why not go for a 4th one? So I go for Shield Bow, of course for that for the shield obviously, but also I get the rest of the stats like the Vamp, attack speed, crit rate, and etc. Now I will say that this build is really flexible. Now how do I mean? First up, your last crit item, if you are going for crit as your last item, you don't have to go for Shield Bow. You could go for a Bloodthirster as well. You could also go for IE if you want that you know, even bigger boost in damage, if you don't want survivability. You could even not go for crit at all. You could go for GA as your last item for the revive instead. And of course, as I mentioned, for the Lord Dominic's Regard, you could of course swap it out with Moral Reminder if you need it, or even Seralda's Grudge if that suits your playstyle better. And finally, you also have your lethality items like Edge of Night and Serpent's Fang in particular. So you could also insert a Serpent's Fang or Edge of Night somewhere in the build. Now, I personally think that if you need a Serpent's Fang, at this point you might as well just go for a full lethality build, because if you need a Serpent's Fang, you would probably go Mana Mune into Serpent's Fang, and then at that point, why would you want to build Essence Reaver and, you know, Collector, etc. So if you need Serpent's Fang, you might as well go for a lethality build. Do I have it here? Yep, so something like this, but you go for like Serpent's Fang here. So another option you have, which you will see later on in the gameplay, is if you really need a Edge of Night for that spell shield, which in some team comps you really do, then you can insert Edge of Night into the build. So in this match, I actually went for Mana Mune into ER and then into Edge of Night and then Collector, because I really needed it in the match. We'll talk more about it in the gameplay later on, but yeah. So now for your runes next. You really have 2 options. You can go for Conqueror or you can go for Lethal Tempo. Now I chose to go for Lethal Tempo because I want to go for more so of the crit build. So I want to go for these. But with the crit build, I need to auto attack. Now in my opinion, okay, by the way, this build is focused both on your auto attacks and also on your Q. More so your Q. So this increases your Q damage, this increases your Q damage, this also increases your Q damage, and same as this. But you will realize that Varus in teamfights has a lot of downtime, and with a full lethality build, you you know, not too good DPS because your damage is all in your Q. So I was thinking that, you know, Varus still auto attacks a lot even though he doesn't have his Q, like, you know, when enemies are around. So I was thinking lethal tempo is a good idea to get attack speed to attack them with. But Conqueror is also really good because, you know, you don't necessarily need attack speed. You can just go for more attack damage. But I think in this case, I think lethal tempo makes more sense because you have no attack speed in your build and you have a lot of attack damage from pretty much every item at this point. And going on with that trend, I think that because you are attacking a decent amount, I think Hunter Vampirism is a good idea for the healing. Bone Plating, of course, for the anti-combo damage, anti-burst, or Perseverance if you need it. And of course, Transcendence for the extra ability haste, as well as the ability cooldown refresh by 15% at level 11. Of course, really useful for Varus's Q in particular. And for the spells, I like to go for Ghost and Flash. You can go for Exhaust if you need it, but that's pretty much it for the explanation of the loadout. Now let's jump into talking about the gameplay. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at the gameplay. Now the first thing I'm going to mention is, obviously, you know, we're building Manamune. So you know the moment Manamune is in your build, especially when it's the first item, you know you're not going to really be the strongest in the early game. Because obviously Manamune takes time to evolve into a Mirror Mana. And of course, you're not really getting Essence Reaver so early. It's only going to be your second item, so you're definitely not going to have it by the first dragon. At first dragon, you probably only have your Manamune. And you're probably only really going to get, you know, Essence Reaver like later on, like, you know, maybe by second dragon probably. And you know, that's sort of when you're strong and when your Manamune evolves into Mirror Mana. So for the laning phase, you know, it's pretty chill. Varus has really long range, so you can just sit back, you know, launch poke like what I'm trying to do here, farm minions, etc. Now here in this lane though, I have a Nami who's relatively aggressive and good in like lane. And I'm against a Vayne who is, like, you know, who's not really the strongest in lane, but you know they also have a Karma who is really strong in lane. So I don't necessarily have to sit all the way back. I'm not against like a Karma Lucian, for example, a very aggressive lane. Vayne is not typically too aggressive, so it's kind of fine to play a little bit more forward and posture a little bit more aggressively. But by and large, you know, you should just be playing conservatively, playing for the farm. And just waiting for your items more or less. And you know, when you start getting those items in, you're gonna start herding like a truck, and you know, that's where the game really starts for you. So here you can see pretty straightforward Varus gameplay, farming minions, using your arrows to poke and farm at the same time, and you know, just chilling in lane basically. One of the best things you can do when you're playing against a Varus is to not stand in your wave. And the reason why you want to do that is Varus generally loves to use his Q to both poke and farm at the same time. So if you can stand beside the wave, you basically you force him into a choice where do you want to use your Q to farm the wave or do you want to use your Q to poke? Now as the Varus player, if this happens, you generally have two options. Obviously, you have two options. So the kind of consideration you have to think about is what are the chances that, you know, you can kill someone if you poke them. So for example, if you poke them enough times and when you hit level 5, you could possibly ult someone and kill them 100 to 0. Or if, for example, you have a ganking jungler, it's always possible that you poke them down, the jungle comes in for a gank and you get a free kill. But if there's no potential to kill them, then really the best way is to just use your Q to farm the wave. If you're not sure, I generally recommend to use Q to poke, because if you don't know if you can fight them, then just assume that, you know, maybe you can if your jungle, you know, ganks. So maybe you just poke them down and, you know, maybe your jungle randomly pulls up and, you know, because they're like chunked to like, let's say 2/3 health or half health, ideally, then maybe there's a kill, you know, on the cards. But regardless, for now, you know, all we're doing is we're simply just farming. Karma has even roamed to mid lane to sort of just put pressure on there. Obviously, you know, it's quite easy to roam. Varus doesn't really have very strong lane priority majority of the time. But as I said, you know, you generally sit back and just farm. You do have really good poke though, both in lane and of course in mid to late game. And yeah, so here, honestly, I'm running out of things to say because there really isn't a lot of things to say here. All we're doing is, as I said, we're just farming. So I've played this new Essence Reaver build for a couple of matches now, and honestly, I really enjoy playing this build. I'm not sure why. Like I think in theory his other builds are better, but this build just feels really fun to play. Like with the Essence Reaver damage, like with the Mana Mune, like with the Collector and all that jazz. Like it just feels really fun to play. I've been playing this build quite a lot. So speaking of which, here you can see Rammus comes in for a gank. Unfortunately, it's against a Vayne, so Vayne can just condemn him out of his Q, and like really nothing actually happens. So didn't really, I mean, we blew Karma's flash, so I guess that did happen, but aside from that, nothing else much else really happened. So it's completely fine, nothing really happening here. So we're just gonna back. We picked up the Mana Mune about 30 seconds out from the first Drake / Herald, and once again, we're just trying to, of course, stack up the Mana Mune. So you saw there in base, we launched a random E, and sometimes when you're rocking the lane, you do want to spam a little bit of your Q and cancel it to stack up the Mana Mune faster. But in this case, I'm trying to conserve mana, because in the earlier stages of the game, Varus uses up a lot of mana. Here, Vayne was trying to back, but we know that she's in there, so we're just going to launch the E into the bush to prevent her from backing. Here I'm still trying to prevent her from backing. I'm not sure where she went. Actually, she's actually in there. So here, I've actually cut her off from her escape here. Rammus comes in. Here I'm trying to snipe someone, gonna hit the Karma. Vayne unfortunately is gonna be able to escape. Zoe comes in with the bubble. Here I'm trying to snipe the Vayne, sorry, as well. I also get the kill onto the Vayne, and Rammus manages to escape with a sliver of HP. So pretty optimal situation here. We killed both of their bot lanes, and we're all good. Unfortunately though, their jungle, which is the Vi, is likely on the Herald. Now I don't really remember if she was on the Herald, but I think she's most likely on the Herald. Yeah, there we go, she did get the Herald, which is obviously something that's expected. When you don't see the enemy jungle on your side of the map, they're probably on the other side getting the opposite objective. However, she's basically chosen to trade Herald for Dragon, because she's now using the Herald to push down top lane and get first tower. So basically my team is going to end up getting Dragon. Their team's getting Herald plus the first tower and all of the plates. So here, for some reason, Karma tries to contest, which is kind of a big mistake here. So I'm just going to walk up, finish off the kill onto the Karma, and we're going to secure the Dragon. And then I can rotate back to my lane. And of course here, Rammus is coming in, hits the taunt. I flash forward to get the root chain CC, and we get the burst onto the Vayne and secure the kill. Nami with the bubble past the Vayne, probably expected Vayne to roll back, but because of the flash forward into the ulti, Vayne could not move at all, and she just gets caught out. Pretty nice by us. Thankfully, Vayne didn't react in time to actually condemn him away. Either that or she had it on cooldown, which I don't know why she would have. But anyways, it all kind of works out for us, and we're kind of getting a bunch of kills at the moment. 4 kills in the pocket, as you guys can see here. And we're kind of scaling extra fast, because generally Varus doesn't get too many kills in the early game, unless you find these sort of scenarios where you're able to actually burst people down, when they have stacks of blight onto them. So here you can see it once again. We're trying to charge our Mana Mune. So you notice that we launch our spells in the base to, of course, get more stacks of Mana Mune. Here we're gonna just run back to lane. You can see that Vayne and Karma are trying their best to push down on the lane. So here we're just gonna hit over, try to prevent them from getting that last plate, and we do manage to do that. And here, honestly, not much action. Varus actually ganked us twice already. We thankfully have not yet been graced by Vi's presence. Unfortunately for us though, Vi is 3-0. She has a Triforce at the moment, and she's building into lethality, which, as I mentioned in my tier list, is a very popular way to build Vi, and it's a really big threat to ADCs like me. So, gonna have to watch out for this Vi, who's getting really fed at the moment. Here you can see we get tagged by a Karma Q, but because, of the bone plating, we don't really take that much damage. Here we're gonna get the ward. And here we're just going back to our, game plan of just poking people down. So here you can see we're landing some poke onto the Vayne already, and we're able to secure the wave. So here you can see I'm cancelling my Q. I don't know if you saw that there, but I just cancelled my Q to charge my Mana Mune faster. So here I'm going to back. I have my Essence Reaver once again. I'm just going to walk to lane. And I should be charging my Mana Mune here, but I'm not too sure why I'm not. I think I'm probably too... I was concentrating too much on pinging the Vi being at top side, because Someone on my team pinged that Vi was bot side, but Vi, I spotted her in the top side jungle, and they're making a play on top. So I'm just pinging that Vi is on the top side, so that my team doesn't get baited into thinking Vi is on the bot side because of someone else's pings. Anyways, Nami rotates there, and basically a huge kerfuffle kind of just breaks out, and most of my team die. We get only the Vi in trade, but we do get Vi shut down though, so I guess it's not all that bad. I'm able to actually secure the bot lane tower, which is somewhat significant, although it would have been better if I was at mid, securing mid tower, but of course we wouldn't know that all of the enemy team would be at the top lane. So anyways, we secure the bot tower. Here I'm trying to prevent Zoe and Karma from getting too much tower damage, sidestep the bubble. And yeah, so here we're just in mid lane, and we're just trying to of course just get some farm. Now notice here the Kai'Sa mid is going for Essence Reaver first item. So I think Essence Reaver Kai'Sa is a thing as well. So I might try it out. I might make a video on it if I find the build to be good. So perhaps, just only a perhaps, look out for that. If we ever do a video on that. But in the meantime, we're just going to go back to mid, trying our best to prevent the tower from being taken. Not too difficult of a job, to be very honest. So we're going to here just prevent the tower from being taken. Here we can spot Rammus and Fiora in a scuffle, trying to help out the Rammus here, but Fiora is able to just walk away. Of course, those lowered cooldowns on her Q helping a lot. Here Vi goes in, has the Edge of Night, but does get it broken, and we are able to ult her and kill her down. I think she got a little bit too aggressive there, ulting into my whole team. Now with the Vi down, Dragon is spawning, so ideally we want to try to get the Dragon before Vi even respawns. Rammus gets hit by the Sleepy Trouble Bubble, gets kind of dealt a lot of damage to. And here I'm gonna walk the long way around the Dragon Pit, just because we weren't sure if anyone was there. Turns out that no one really was, so here I'm actually trying to just get the Dragon. The enemy team actually comes to contest, and Vi has just respawned, so this is a somewhat risky Dragon if we can burst it down. Here Rammus gets a ton. I'm going to chain CC onto the Zoe with the root. Vayne dies as well. Here I'm trying to snipe out the Karma. I get the damage. I'm flashing forward to finish the kill. I do get the kill finish, but unfortunately Vi has just come out of base and Vi kills me. So here, unfortunately, I do end up going down, and Urgot is getting chased down as well. Here basically my whole team ends up dying here except for Kai'Sa, who's now on the run. I believe Kai'Sa ends up dying here as well. He tries to ult for the shield. Doesn't really matter. Ends up dying to the Fiora. And here you can see our respawns are coming through, but thankfully for us, the enemy team has not yet taken the Dragon. Here Vi is soloing the Dragon, so because of that, the call is of course to go to the Dragon, because Vi soloing the Dragon means that she won't be doing it too fast, and it is contestable. Here you can see Nami Wave gives vision of the Dragon. Rammus ults over and actually gets the Smite steal, which is absolutely amazing for us. So now we secured the double Dragon. Huge. He comes right over, flashes back out of the pit, and he is A-OK. And emotes start coming through. Of course, amazing steal by the Rammus. Credit where credit is due. And here, let's take a look at what we are doing at the moment. So here, we have the Muramana finally, and we also have our Essence Reaver. Now, the main threat on the enemy team, aside from like a Fiora flanking or coming, diving the backline, is mainly going to be Vi and Zoe. So I was thinking Edge of Night is going to work very well here, because Edge of Night, basically prevents Vi from ulting me, prevents Vi from, of course, engaging on me with her Q, and also prevents me from getting hit by the Zoe bubble. So here, I honestly, no idea where that arrow went. The arrow went to Narnia, and that was kind of just really bad. But anyways, as I mentioned, Edge of Night is going to be an amazing purchase for me here, so that's exactly what I'm going for. I'm going to go for the Edge of Night, of course, to counter the Vi as well as the Zoe. And of course, in this particular situation, Vi is the most fed member on their team, and Zoe is sort of following closely behind. So I think it's really good to itemize against these two on their team. The rest of the champions have a little bit more counterplay to them, like like the Vayne and the Karma. So not too bad. But if Vi point and click ults you, there's not much you can really do, except maybe just stasis if you have it. But yeah, so here, that's what we're gonna do. We of course do actually have the stasis as well, so 2 layers of safety here. Of course, our Age of Night yet to be completed, so our stasis is going to be our only layer of safety for now. So here I'm in the store. I'm trying to find the Age of Night to of course Paradise. There we go. So we're gonna of course get the, I believe that's called the Jorim's Fist. And now we're gonna hit back out onto the lane. So Vayne and Rammus are sort of in a fight here. Rammus is kind of dying to Vayne, but he's able to actually ult out. And Vayne is now the one getting chased. So here this just becomes like basically it's about to become like a long extended fight. Here now Zoe comes in from the side. Gets the sleep onto the Kai'Sa, and here Karma tries to ult, and it just becomes a huge kind of scuffle. Now Rammus and Fiora are now dueling, and it's kind of the same story as what happened with the Vayne just now. Rammus is sort of just, you know, getting engaged upon, but this time Fiora is the victim. Fiora is really low HP. Vi goes in. I see Vi has ulted. I'm trying to ult someone here, and I end up just ulting in between the two groups of enemies, which is kind of stupid. But anyways, even without our ult, we are able to basically contribute to the fight, able to get a double kill for now, and I'm trying to focus down the Zoe or the Vayne. Here I'm flashing away to prevent myself getting hit by Vi. Vi goes down, Zoe goes down as well, and now only Vayne is left. Three of us are chasing the Vayne. Rammus gets the taunt in, but Rammus ends up dying because the Vayne is attacking him because of the taunt. But me and Nami are able to finish off the kill onto the Vayne. So overall, a team fight win for my team, and you know, it all kind of just goes well. Currently for myself, I'm 7, 1, and 6. Of course, I have 2 items completed as well as my stasis. On this back, I should be able to secure my Age of Night for the extra layer of safety as well as the lethality, of course. I find it pretty funny how Age of Night has only 8 lethality, but the other lethality items all have like 15 lethality, like Ghost Blade, Dust Blade, as well as Serpent's Fang all have like 15 lethality, but Age of Night has only 8 lethality, which is like half, which kind of sucks. But the layer of safety you get from Age of Night is way too good. I think maybe it should get like 10 lethality or something, but of course in general as an ADC main, I guess having less lethality is going to be good for me, so less people are going to build it. But yeah. So here, of course, we get the buff share. From the red buff, the final dragon aside from the Elder is going to be spawning momentarily. So we're trying to get in position to set up for that dragon and try to secure triple dragon. In the meantime, me and Nami are landing quite significant poke onto the enemy team. We managed to force down the mid tower. Karma ult comes out again. And here we got an Age of Night. Age of Night kind of ends up blocking, like I believe it was a Luna's proc or something, so which kind of sucks for us. So here is just a lot of posturing. Rammus tries to go in, gets a taunt onto the Zoe. Kai'Sa flies in. Here I'm getting flanked by Fiora. I'm kind of dying here. I pop the stasis. My team thankfully finishes off the kill onto Fiora. I'm back in a safe position, sniping the Vi, managing to take half of her health here. And here Rammus gets the taunt. We're going to finish off the kill onto Karma, and we're going to try to finish off the kill onto Vayne. Now in my opinion, no reason to fight any further. Let's just secure triple dragon here. Just nice, the plant spawns and I'm able to pick up the fruit, and here me and Rammus are 2-manning the Baron while our team is zoning the Vi away, and Vi does end up dying to my team, and we managed to secure the triple dragon, which is of course going to be a very strong win condition. So here I want to build towards Collector, so I'm getting myself the Dirk again. Now I could also of course go for the LDR here, but I didn't feel the enemy team was very tanky. They were actually relatively squishy, so I didn't really feel that was a necessary purchase. So I decided to just go for the Collector instead, just, you know, for more crit as well as more lethality.
Enemy turret destroyed.
Now here Elder Dragon is coming up in 10 seconds, so here obviously we obviously want to fight for the Elder Dragon. My team's all at the Baron area though, which is pretty funny because that's kind of like not the right objective for the moment. Now Fiora is going to come down from top lane, so we're going to be aware of the Fiora flank again. If not, we're going to get caught by surprise and probably die this time because our stasis is currently down. So here Urgot is kind of trying to handle Fiora. I'm trying to like, you know, get in like a position where I can land some arrows and land some poke onto the enemy team. Now here we have another posturing situation where like we're all just posturing around the pit. Zoe eats a huge Q from the Kaisa, and here like no team wants to start the Elder Dragon, so Urgot's going down to clear the wave, Fiora's clearing the wave in mid, and it's just sort of like everyone's just sort of just walking around. Here I managed to snipe out the Zoe, which kind of kicks off the fight here. I'm gonna flash over to get the root onto the Vi. Vi actually uses QSS to run away from the root, which is pretty unfortunate, but we are able to pick up a couple of kills. Now here I'm trying to snipe the Karma. I get the hit onto the Karma, but Karma lives on 1 HP. Or that she doesn't, because Urgot manages to get the ulti and Karma does end up dying. So 4 members down on the enemy team, only a 1 HP Vi is left on the map. So here I'm just going to secure the Elder Dragon, and that should basically allow us to secure Baron as well. So here I'm actually pinging to go straight to Baron. Here my team, or my Rammus, is trying to recall, but I'm pinging to go for Baron, because we have Elder and the whole enemy team is dead. Only Vi is alive. And with all of us here, we should be able to easily secure this Baron. Shouldn't be too much of an issue at all. As we see here. Vi obviously tries, not obviously, but Vi does try to come in and see if anything can be done, but nothing can be done. She ends up dying for her efforts, and here we are able to complete the Collector. So now we have the basically Exodia. We have like Triple Dragon, Elder Dragon, plus the Baron buff. So like, you know, literally every single buff you can get in the game. I mean, I guess you could go for red buff and blue buff as well. Now I have the red buff as well. And anyways, so now with Baron Elder, you obviously want to just try to push down and end the game. So I'm going down mid with my team. Rammus is split pushing on the bottom lane, which is of course ideal, so we can pressure multiple lanes at once. Now here, as I'm pushing, I'm just trying to land poke. You can see that one arrow from me does like about 1/3 of Vayne's health, which is huge damage, in all honesty. And here we're obviously just trying to push down using our minions, and you can see that Rammus and Urgot have managed to push down the other lane as well. And here I'm just escorting the next wave in, and we're gonna use this wave to try to pick up this mid lane inhibitor. We are able to do that, and at the same time, their bot lane inhibitor has also fallen. So here at this point, we still have both Baron and Elder. Elder only for another 15 seconds. So we're trying to quickly like end the game or do something like that before Elder runs out. So here 10 seconds left on Elder, 9 seconds, 8 seconds, 7. And here you can see the minions are sort of like getting the game. Here Elder buff helps us to secure a couple of more kills, and Elder buff ends up falling off, but we do end up picking up the kill on all of them and ending the game. So I'm going to leave you guys with the stats as usual. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and goodbye.